Well, welcome everybody, all of our past schools from both PNG and Australia. My name's Kathy Kirby and I'm a proud member of the past team and very happy to act as MC today. It's really fantastic to see you all here, and we know that it's a really busy time for you all returning to school this week for term 3. And we've just been alerted that some PNG schools haven't quite started yet for term 3 due to the upcoming election, and some students haven't yet returned because schools are major polling stations in PNG. But we're very welcome to those of you who've been able to get here today, and we really very much appreciate you making the time to come together, because it's going to be fun and lots to celebrate in all of your work. So just as we're doing this introduction, please introduce yourself in the Google Meet chat. If you'd like to type in your name and your school name, and perhaps who else is joining from your device, who you've got around you, that we know lots of people join in groups from schools usually. So let us know a little bit about you, and you can just be putting that in the chat as we proceed with our meeting today. Now, many of our PNG teachers and school leaders have just been undertaking in the last week or two some really intensive past professional learning programs together in Port Moresby over their holiday period. It's been National In-Service Week in PNG. And I know that you are all brilliant, and we're going to be hearing more about that in this meetup today, particularly from Anna and Junior. But I'd like us to take a moment to start today's meeting with an acknowledgement of country. And today that acknowledgement of country is provided by Leah, who's a proud Aboriginal woman and student at one of our past schools, Cherrybrook Technology High School in Sydney.
My name is Leah, and I am a proud Aboriginal woman and Year 11 student at Cherrybrook Technology High School. Though a modern institution, Cherrybrook Technology High School resides on Darug land in the Sydney Basin, stretching between Port Jackson and Botany Bay in the east, the Georges River to the south and southwest, the Hawkesbury River in the northwest, and in the west up to the Blue Mountains. May we acknowledge the traditional owners whose customs continue to nurture this country, and honour the presence of the ancestors who reside within every aspect of this land, whose spirituality flows through all creation. Their teachings, through song, art and dance, have been occurring since the awakening from the Great Dream, and we continue learning at Cherrybrook Technology High School. I would like to extend this respect to the peoples of the land on which we learn, work and grow, and to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples joining us today. May we come together as one, so that your country and my country may forever be our country.
Thank you very much, Leah, and thank you very much, Cherrybrook Technology High School, for providing the acknowledgement of country to start this meeting. So our past meetup today, it's a celebration of the extraordinary work you all did in term 2 in past activities like student reporters, citizen science, Olida Mary, Leading Learning 3, and the STEM workshop. And it's also when we get to the exciting bit about announcing term 3 activities. So today we're going to hear about the upcoming all-day online student design sprint on food security and a following collaborative project on growing food for the future. We'll hear about digital clubs, an exciting new course for students and IT teachers on digital media literacy. And we have a unique opportunity to learn about astronomy based on ancient Indigenous knowledge. So please join me now for a quick welcome to our learning designers who are going to run these activities. A shout out and a warm welcome to Chris Buswell, Heather McDonald, Jim Sill and Jade Boney, who have joined us today. Welcome to you all. So let's start celebrating our achievements from term 2. Many of your students participated in the student reporters activity, which was designed by the Australian Film, Television and Radio School. The program discussed how media reporters put together a story, and then students went out into their schools and communities seeking news. The result was quite astonishing. And we're so proud to put together a podcast of all of your stories. You can access the 20-minute podcast through this QR code, and it's on the PASS website as well, both the podcast and the code. But Nicole, let's just hear a minute or two of this very professional broadcast.
We have a collection of student submissions to showcase here. Thank you to everyone who submitted.
Walwyn National School of Excellence team episode Windy Walwyn gave an insight into school life as a student.
Hi everyone, this is Windy Walwyn broadcasting from Savannah Plains of Markham Valley.
Joining me here today is one of the participants, Enmala Pilga, who will briefly tell us more about what they displayed out there. Thank you, Enmala.
Now, under the technology category, also created using HTML and CSS, plus with the inclusion of JavaScript, which made the calculator to be dynamic and alive.
This is Trevor Maya reporting live from Windy Walwyn. This segment is based on the type of technology that is used in Walwyn National School of Excellence.
Welcome to Windy Walwyn broadcast. Firstly, we thank Almighty God for giving us a new life and a new day to live and gratefully enjoy.
Our National School of Excellence environment is just as what you would expect from a school of excellence. With the fresh breeze that the trees gives every day, the green grasses, and the flowers that bloom every day, and the never-ending sunshine that we get here, Walwyn's environment surely never disappoints. And this is Sylvia Joseph with the Environment Report from Windy Walwyn, also known as Savannah Land.
The principal encourages fruits and vegetables to be sold at the mini school market at reasonable prices. The locals provided the school mini market with fresh fruits and vegetables every day.
The games that are played are basketball, volleyball, soccer, and touch footy. Mr. Tomape is the sports teacher for sports, and he usually puts up draw for 4 teams to challenge each other.
Thanks so much, Nicole, and congratulations to all those student reporters. Often when we set a project and we hope that students are going to respond to it well, and we're never disappointed. Just really excellent work there. Now, when we last met as a whole PASS team, you might recall that Kirsty Costa from Zoos Victoria introduced you to the citizen science activity. She sparked out the interest of many of you to go and investigate what was happening with your own local bird species and to contribute to a global study of birds through the app that was provided. Now, the end result of this activity is to be a scientific video presentation and report. It's due for submission today, and we're really looking forward to receiving the students' work. And congratulations to all of you who contributed to the citizen science activity. Anna, I'm now going to pass over to you, and I hope that your technology is working okay. Can you tell us a little bit about Olida Mary and Leading Learning 3, which both occurred just a week or so ago?
Fantastic. Thanks, Kathy, and good afternoon, everyone. It's so lovely to see so many of you online today. I just did return on Sunday night from a couple of weeks of really incredible delivery with our PNG teams. So the first delivery that we focused in on was Leading Learning 3. You can see on the screen a couple of snapshots from the activity. This workshop, or this 5-day delivery, was focused on building the capacity of not just school leaders, but our subsystem and our national leaders. And we were really lucky to be able to partner with the National Department of Education to co-facilitate and co-design this piece, which is a first in the sense that we really dug deep into some of the priorities that the National Department were most concerned with. So we had a brilliant time coming together and really working in systemised ways to focus in on capacity development that the department thought was most important for not just their school leaders, but their school inspectors and their National Department of Education staff. So it was a really fantastic week. And from here, our teams are going to be working as clusters across their provinces to also lead capacity development activities in alignment with some of those school improvement objectives that the National Department of Education have. So we're looking forward to catching up with everybody online a few times before the end of the year, and again coming together face to face at the very start of next year. The second activity that we ran, if we could just skip, thanks, was All Leader Mary. And as you can see, it was a fantastic week that we had together. And as the name suggests, we had our Leader Marys together. So again, we had about 40 women from across our 12 provinces and also from the National Department of Education. And we brought them together to do all women's professional development, really focused in on how to support each other as a community and how to build each other's capacity as leaders within a network. So each of the teams were pulled together as provincial teams, and they've developed their own project, their very own project that they're going to be leading for the rest of the year. And again, we're really looking forward to connecting with each other online and really celebrating the successes that emerge from this space. But we had, again, an incredible opportunity to co-facilitate with some of our existing participants who have just grown into the most beautiful leaders and are leading this space as well. And so we're certainly so proud of their capacity and how they're leading in their own right, not just in their school, but as part of our past activities. So yeah, those 2 last weeks were an absolute highlight to be able to bring everybody together and to learn and to work together. And of course, celebrate working face to face again. Such a gift. Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks very much, Anna. That must have been an amazing gift to have everybody, all our PNG participants there together again in Port Moresby. And I know that you had some visiting presenters from Australia via the big screen, but not quite the same as being in the room, is it?
That's right. And if we had 20 minutes, I'd keep talking and talking, but I won't. But it was absolutely brilliant experience for everyone involved. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks very much, Anna. Junior, please tell us a little bit about the STEM workshop, which also occurred recently in Port Moresby.
Hi, Kathy and all. Thank you for everyone who participated. For the STEM workshop, we had a very good time. The STEM teachers and the science teachers from secondary school put together their creativity, and they used the project-based learning approach to build bridges. So in PNG, they came up with different designs in PNG context about the bridges that will, suit our context. So a lot of mathematics, physics, design, different science subjects were involved in building the bridge model. As you can see in the picture, the teachers are showcasing their bridge model there. So we had a total of 11 females and 13 males participants who participated in the workshop for the 2 days. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Junior, and congratulations to everybody involved in delivering these professional learning programs, and particular congratulations to all of the participants who took the opportunity of their term break to do so. Really fantastic to see this work. So it's my pleasure now to turn to Term 3 activities. And it seems that we just keep on getting better and better in the PASS initiative. And that's due to the combination of PASS schools' high level of enthusiasm and achievement in working alongside the expert educators we've brought into this program to design the past activities. So our first Term 3 collaborative project is an online student design sprint on food security and a project on growing food for the future. Now that's a topic that certainly interests all of us. It's our second online student design sprint. Last year was on climate resilience. So please welcome back Chris Buswell, who co-led last year's climate resilient design sprint and was also leader of the Mountain Creek State High School PASS team in 2019. Chris has now gone on to work as Director of STEM at a brand new Australian international school in Dubai. And he's helping to build the foundations of an innovative and world-class school from the ground up. For this year's design sprint, Chris has been joined by Heather McDonald. Welcome, Heather. Heather is the founding director of Education Partnerships, and she's been developing and implementing education programs and strategies for organisations and international events for over 20 years. So over to you, Chris and Heather. Tell us about the food activities.
Thank you for that introduction, Kathy. It's wonderful to be back. I'm just going to quickly share some slides for today. Can everyone see that? Hopefully that's all fine. Yeah, it's fantastic to see this ongoing work and the incredible energy and the momentum that is still very much present in the PASS initiative. I had the privilege of actually presenting yesterday and reviewing the work that we did right back at 2019 when we first established this partnership and highlighting the journey as a part of the past projects that have happened. We had a student representative and a teacher, and it is truly incredible work, and it's great to be reconnected with everyone. We're here to launch the Food Security Design Sprint today, and leveraging off the success of the Climate Resilience Sprint that we conducted in 2021. I would like to welcome formally my partner in crime, Heather McDonald, to the PNG Oz partnership from Education Partnerships. Heather and I will be leading the design and the development and the running of the design sprint that will happen on August 18th. Next month. So today we would like to just introduce you to the next phase in this project and some activities that we would like to do in the lead up. So over to you, Heather.
Thanks for that, Chris, and really excited to be involved with PASS this year and creating the best opportunities we can for our students. The topic that we are going to be working with is food security now and into the future. And I guess this is a topic that is so important, not only in our domestic market, but internationally. So there's a really strong contribution that students can make in this area, and we're really looking forward to seeing what solutions the students come up with when we look at some of the problems that they may be facing locally or regionally. I'd like to introduce you to Maximo Torero Cullen. He is the Chief Economist for the Food and Agricultural Organization for the United Nations. Maximo has heard about the work that the PASS students will be doing, and he's really interested in seeing what the students produce. He's the chair of the World Food Forum, which is being held in October this year. And I guess one of the opportunities is, for the students to present their work via video to Maximo, and he's actually going to be celebrating that work in his networks as well. So what will the sprint provide for the students? It'll encourage the students to empathise with those impacted by food insecurity, and they may be familiar with it in their local area. And I guess at the moment we're seeing a lot of insecurity with food prices, etc. So it's looking at how that what impact particularly climate change has on that food security. We'll be looking at what happens locally and regionally with food security. The students will then be ideating and prototyping, so making models of what is a solution to some of the problems that we're facing in our area. And then as I mentioned before, we'll be sharing those solutions not only with our students that will be in the sprint, but also with Maximo, who's based in Rome. So prior to the design sprint, we're encouraging all schools to watch the video on how to feed the world in 2050. It provides a lot of background into some of the challenges that climate change is impacting on food security. We're then asking the students to select a couple of perspectives, and these perspectives include things like water management, soil management, crops, aquaculture, and traditional and Indigenous cropping. We'll ask them to then look at how they extend, connect, extend and question the videos or articles that they've been provided within their workbook. And then they'll collect resources, and activity 3 is collecting resources that they can use to build these prototypes. So recycle materials, tape, tape, etc.
Thank you, Heather. So we're going to be utilising our design thinking framework as a part of our design sprint, and we understand the amount of conflicting priorities that schools have, but it's really important that students come into these sprints with a sense of empathy about their local context as well as the global context that will allow them to be primed and ready to get started on the sprint as a part of the day. So as Heather mentioned, we're going to be looking at food security with a UN SDG lens, in particular, number 2, zero hunger. We want students to think about the 4 elements of food security. So availability, does food exist near me? How does that food get to my door? How does it get to my plate? Access, how easily can I get food? Do I have to purchase it? Am I able to grow it within my yard? The utilization of that food. So how well does that food contribute to your overall nutrition and your health and well-being, and also the stability of that food? Is it going to be available easily tomorrow or into the future? So activity 1 is just watching a video that really links climate change to food security on a global context into the future. If you have access to a phone, you can scan that QR code. And there's some key questions to consider whilst watching it regarding the impact of climate change around agriculture and what's going to happen as our population swells into the future. Activity 2, within the booklet, the student workbook that has been sent out and is available on the PASS website, and I think Nicole will also share it in the chat function, there are different perspectives around agriculture. This is an example of one perspective. What we would like you to do is to choose a perspective that interests you, that you might want to explore more. There are multiple ways of looking at it. Some of the perspectives are just articles that could be read, or others are videos that could be watched. This is an example of one article that is very contextual to the Pacific region, and it's a solution to food security. So we have the Food Cube that was designed based on stormwater runoff within Pacific regions, and it's a product that was designed based on the circular economy using recyclable materials. It stores large reservoirs of water and uses a wicking method to continually feed crops throughout the year. You can use the connect, extend, and question framework to then think deeper about that article or video. The idea is that within a school group, you would choose differing perspectives amongst your participants. One student might look into the food cube and another student might look at another perspective. And then when we have the design sprint, those perspectives can be shared to share a broader understanding of the food security issue globally. I'd like to introduce you to a very proud Papua New Guinean lady, Dr. Yalanu Poya. Dr. Yalanu is working currently at the University of Glasgow. She is doing some incredible work around the production of ammonia. And for the chemistry teachers out there, you might know that ammonia is produced through a chemical reaction that combines nitrogen, which is present in the air that we breathe, and hydrogen gas. It's a really interesting chemical reaction. Dr. Yalanu is studying the Haber-Bosch process, and that was designed by Fritz Haber in 1919. Very interestingly, the reaction itself is known to feed billions of people because the production of ammonia was used to produce fertilizers and therefore increase the yield of agriculture during World War I. But at the same time, and on the other hand, potentially kill billions of people because the production of ammonia has led to the production of explosives, but also pollution of our environment. So Dr. Yalanu's work is all about creating a cleaner and safer way to produce ammonia. And I'd like you to share a very quick snapshot of her work that she's shared for everyone today.
Hi, everyone. Today I will give a short talk titled 5 Goals, Plenty of Food, and 1 Catalyst. Have you ever taken a bite out of an apple and wondered, where does this come from? Of course, you're probably thinking the fruit and vegetables section from your local supermarkets. But what if I told you that this apple, along with other food that is responsible for 50% of the nitrogen content in your body, comes from a chemical reaction that is over 100 years old called the Haber-Bosch process? The Haber-Bosch process is a process that involves combining hydrogen and nitrogen over an iron catalyst at a high temperature and pressure to make a simple compound called ammonia that has 1 nitrogen atom and 3 hydrogen atoms, otherwise sometimes known as NH3. The catalyst is the magic touch in the reaction to make ammonia. It acts by making the reaction faster. An example of an item that you may have at home that acts like a catalyst is yeast, which is used when baking. So why is ammonia so important? Ammonia is a key ingredient used in making synthetic fertilizers so that farmers can grow our food. Through this process, the Haber-Bosch process, millions of tons of fertilizers are being made, and 40% of the world population, billions of people, are being fed. This process is great, but unfortunately it has many disadvantages. The Haber-Bosch process uses great amounts of fossil fuels for energy and as a source of hydrogen. The process pollutes the atmosphere with lots of carbon dioxide emissions and bad greenhouse gases. The Haber-Bosch process needs to be improved for the greater good of the world so that you and I and everyone can eat. And that is where my job as a scientist comes in. My name is Dr. Yalanu Poya Gao, and I'm a scientist. My job is to work to solve some of the world's biggest problems, particularly in food and climate change. My job is to make catalysts that produce ammonia. I make affordable and active catalysts that have the potential in making ammonia into a cleaner and more sustainable way and can be used on a small place, even as like a farm. My job is to make ammonia using renewable energy such as wind, and the source of hydrogen of ammonia to be coming from water. My job is to minimize the disadvantages in the Haber-Bosch process while still making ammonia, which in turn makes fertilizers and feeds billions of people across the world. Now, I'm sure everyone knows the United Nations. The United Nations has designed and implemented 17 Sustainable Development Goals, specifically to make our world a better place by creating a sustainable future for everyone through addressing its global challenges that we face. Now, since ammonia plays a great role in the world for food production, making ammonia should come together with these goals. My work as a scientist, my research in ammonia, provides ideas into addressing 5 of these goals. Goal 1, no poverty. Goal 2, zero hunger. Goal 7, affordable and clean energy. Goal 9, innovation in industry and infrastructure. And Goal 13, climate action. In relation to my work, I have won a total of 12 awards, which include 3 highly competitive international awards and 1 competitive national award. I have also been honored by the University of Glasgow for my ammonia synthesis research, and I was named 2020 University of Glasgow Future World Changer. I have publications, and I have received recognition and honorable mentions from scientific organizations across the world. Some of my great highlights include talking about my research in the Scottish Parliament, meeting different world leaders, and my personal favorite, having tea with Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth in her Holyrood Palace. I started off like most of you. I was a child growing up in a small town. I became a scientist through my curiosity. I had a curious mind and developed a strong interest in science at a very young age. My message to you all is to never see yourself as someone small and never give up on your dreams. If you like science, please never lose interest. Continue to do your best. Feed your brain with books, encyclopedias, and ask questions. Ask as many questions if you are not sure of something. Science has proven to solve some of the world's great problems. The world is always changing, and because the world constantly changing, the world will constantly and continue to face problems. To make our world a better place, we need more scientists like you to help change the future. This was a brief insight into my research and my job as a scientist, and I hope you enjoyed my talk, 5 goals, plenty of food, and 1 catalyst.
Thank you, Yalini. What an inspiring mentor for everyone out there. Just lastly, it's all about being organized on the day for the sprint and making sure that you have all key resources and information ready to go. So the 18th of August, you need to make sure that you have all of your technology organized. And if you are working with materials, make sure that you start collecting from today all of those things that you can use to build prototypes, such as cardboard cartons, toilet rolls, foam, plastic bottles, anything that's recyclable that you might be using to construct a prototype. It's really important that everyone has a nice large poster if you're going to be presenting using a physical item that you can use to create your overall visual prototype, or any other information you want to share through a webcam. Or if you are presenting digitally, or you are going to create some sort of minimum viable product or a prototype using programs, that you organize that prior to the day. Obviously, it's a really energetic, fast-paced program that we run during design sprints, and the more organized people are prior to the day, the smoother it will run and the better the product at the end. That's it from us. If there's any questions that people want to pose either today through the chat, or please reach out through the past WhatsApp or email, I'm more than happy to address them and help people prepare for the day. But we're really looking forward to our next design sprint on the 18th of August. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Chris and Heather. That was completely inspirational. And I really love the way that you've given the context of this is work that the United Nations is doing and has made commitments to through the Sustainable Development Goals. And the inspiration of Dr. Yelenu Poya, a future world changer like we all can be. We're really looking forward to our next design sprint. Can't wait. Okay, well, our second activity for term 3. PASS has been really fortunate to work in partnership with John Monash Secondary College in Victoria since we visited the Specialist Science School in 2019. Emerging Sciences Victoria is an initiative of John Monash Science School and designs and delivers online science courses for students across Victoria. The school's collaborating with PASS on a course that draws on Indigenous knowledge of the stars, the sky and astronomy. So please welcome Jade Boney to tell us about it. Jade's the Assistant Director at Emerging Science Victoria with a responsibility for curriculum, and she's a teacher at John Monash Science School. And just to let you know that John Monash Science School is the first school of its kind in Victoria and only one of 3 such specialist science providers in Australia, where students can study emerging science electives in fields like mathematics and associated technologies. So welcome, Jade, over to you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Yes, so we're really excited to be providing you all with an opportunity to engage in some Indigenous astronomy next term, or this term. So I'll just share a quick window with you about what we're kind of intending to cover in that. So the way it will work is that the sessions will be presented by Crystal DiNapoli and myself. Crystal is a proud Gallimiroy woman, and she's also an astrophysicist. And we have co-written a course together which looks at Indigenous science in general. And what we're doing is we're just taking a small portion of that, Indigenous astronomy, to share with you. And through this course, we're hoping that you'll have an opportunity to explore some oral traditions and I guess discuss the huge depth of information that we find in many of the Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander stories. In particular, we're focusing on those which feature astronomical phenomena such as variable stars, meteorites, eclipses, constellations. We'll also look a little bit at star maps as well and navigation. So we're hoping to cover a huge range of topics and really look at what the implications of that information are for both understanding our Indigenous communities, their past, their present and their future going into the future as well. And as part of that, we're also hoping to get students to engage in a bit of their own research, maybe researching some local Indigenous knowledges in their communities. And these are not necessarily going to have to be astronomy based, but we're hoping to learn some stories and learn some more from our local communities and to share that information. And so we've designed a project that will hopefully get you able to be creative and also able to communicate some of that knowledge that is in your local areas. So that's kind of the course in a nutshell. Were there any other questions or anything I can answer?
Thanks very much, Jade.
Yeah.
And if people do have questions, please put them in the chat. And Jade, we know that you've got to run in a moment, but if there are questions, we'll pass them on to you, and we can get back to people through our WhatsApp connection.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
Thanks. It's just brilliant to see this learning activity for PASS, and I'm personally really looking forward to learning more about what Papua New Guineans know and understand about the stars, the sky, and astronomy. And it'll be a very exciting revelation in this course, I'm sure. So thank you very much, and we look forward to it.
Not a problem. I just saw there's a question about the group size for Indigenous astronomy. I don't think we have a in terms of the project at the end, maybe small groups of 2 or 3 is probably ideal, but it depends on your circumstances. We can work with whatever you need. And also this is my desk buddy Shodi. He's getting a bit of TLC while I'm at home, so he's enjoying that. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, thank
Thanks.
you. No worries.
Thanks very much, Jay. We look forward to it. That's terrific. Okay, so our third activity for term 3 is a learning activity for students and IT teachers. It's about being media and digital media savvy in the digital world, and it focuses on the critically important issues that face all of us every day now with digital media. So please welcome back Jim Sill to PASS. Jim is the founder and coach at Deploy Learning in Australia. He's a former television producer and has been working in education for almost 20 years. So Jim, welcome, and please tell us a little bit about being media savvy.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you for having me. You can tell by the accent that I'm not originally from Australia. I come from California, where I was, as Kathy just mentioned, a television producer and a video and film TV teacher in a California high school. And one of the main things that I always asked my students to look at is, how do we see and find truth in media? And I really thought it would be a great idea, thanks with Kathy's idea here as well, to share with you an image to get started. I'm going to just pop my screen up here, if that is all right. There we go. And my question to you is, well, I'll tell you, this picture was shared by National Geographic in 2015. One of their crew was out and was surprised by a bear. You may have seen this image online. And my question to you is it true? Is it true? So take a look at that chat and drop in your answer to this National Geographic image. Did this picture actually take place? Curious to see what you'd have to say about this. One of my favorite things to do with students is always to look at the media that we consume. In other words, watch and read and look for, even see on television or even social media like TikTok or something, to see what are the things that we can look for in imagery that will help us to know if this is worth sharing with someone. And so that is really the nature of our project. I love it. Very good. I love it. Maybe I set it up to maybe you think it's not true. Maybe from my tone you think it's not true.
There's a lot of people who are hoping it's not true, I'd say, Jim.
That's right. I would like to hope it's not true, right? Nobody wants to run into a bear. I'll tell you what, I'll move on. We'll come back to this image in a moment. So when we were thinking about this program and working with students and teachers across both nations, we really wanted to think about what we could share with students that would help them educate their peers. What can students do to create a campaign? Or in other words, how might we create a campaign to help our peers properly evaluate media? Before we share it, as we read it, and what do we talk about when we get together around these things? So that's the real purpose of this course. We wanted to talk, have a few goals in mind when we're doing this. And essentially, this is a series of workshops that will help teachers and students effectively and responsibly evaluate media online, in television, and in print. It's 4 sessions, so we'll meet one time with just the teachers to help them get ready for what is to come, and to help prepare them to support students during the next 3 courses. So we'll have 3 additional workshops after the teachers, where 2 of them will work with our students to develop a vocabulary, learn these effective skills to determine truthfulness, telling fact from fiction, and really trying to think before we share these things onward, which is really the definition of viral videos and viral media, isn't it? It's so we ultimately want to do that with activities that we'll do online during our time together synchronously. Then we'll also have many resources for our students to access and to dig into more. And then we'll see how they go with 2 different projects. One of the projects will ask our students to look at their own social media and create a list of social media accounts that will help define an accurate view of their community. And I don't know what that community is. Maybe that's a small group community in their own town, or perhaps that is a larger community of like-minded other students around the world. And we want to be able to help them see what an accurate list would look like. So that way they can share with their colleagues, be represented through those channels, really getting them to look at the channels that they're really already part of. And then we'll move on from there and dig into some more things. What I wanted to share with you is that a lot of this material connects back into the curriculum. There are lots of ways to connect back into either Australian curriculum or the curriculum there in PNG. It's easy to find ways that a lot of this will work with things that you're already doing in school. And so we want to be able to help you meet some of those standards. The other thing is that we'll be using Google Classroom. So our students will come into Google Classroom and have access to all of this material there. They'll be submitting their projects through Google Classroom. And that will allow us to be able to, to take a look at that as a group and then share back some of these projects to our students. And additionally, there'll be opportunities with these projects to learn new skills with other applications, I guess we should say. Being able to create videos with WeVideo or Adobe. Maybe they want to share some of their projects through Google Classroom or Google Site. Now we'll be accessing things like Jamboard and even having an opportunity to help you build out something like a book creator. So there's so many opportunities to help continue to develop those tech skills while learning a really important topic around consuming media and looking at the media that our students and you perhaps are already are sharing and accepting as truth online. So when we get back to this last bit, of course, many of you have gotten this right. This image had a few giveaways, right? So there's this opportunity here with why would you be laughing if a bear was coming? And that bear is actually a reverse of an actual bear from National Geographic. The story about National Geographic posting this and the actual National Geographic logo, I put on there about 10 minutes before this program started today. So that would be something we would call disinformation, and that's something we'll cover in the course. I appreciate you having me. I look forward to working with you and everyone here in the next few weeks.
Thanks very much, Jim. I think this is a course that pretty much everybody needs to do because increasingly we're being exposed to news and communications through all of our devices every day. So really looking forward to working with you on this. So what a term of work we have to look forward to. Before we finish today, I'd like just to show you a short video we've made of the PASS website to show you what's on it. Now, every activity that we do in PASS has complete written documentation, references, student learning activities, videos, and student work and teacher work outcome recorded on the site. And every week we add more and more learning resources for you through the Learning Bank. So Nicole, let's just have a look at this quick tour of the PASS website.
The PNG Oz Partnership Secondary Schools Initiative website is home to information and resources for all your PASS activities and projects. At the top of every page, you'll find a link to the Talk Survey newsletter, a fortnightly update that includes key dates, highlights, and a look ahead. The navigation bar under the Toxave link provides drop-down menus for quick access to everything on the site. Click on the 2020 to 21 activities and projects tab for an archive of all the great achievements over the past 2 years. Here you'll find a range of self-directed courses and activities supported by workbooks that are still available for you to undertake at any time and at a pace that suits you. The 2022 to 23 activities and projects tab provides a timeline of all current and upcoming activities as part of PAS Phase 2 and is organized into educator professional learning, including effective learning action research, student learning activities such as citizen science, and collaborative school projects where you'll find, for example, galleries for photo friendships, video diaries, and the We Change the World posters for change. Moving right along the main navigation bar, click on the Learning Bank tab. Here you can choose between teaching and learning resources, inspiration, and professional learning resources. The Teaching and Learning tab takes you to resources related to teaching English, health and well-being, STEM, including the Girls in STEM Toolkit, and other collaborative projects. You also have access to Scootle, a comprehensive digital learning library that makes finding and using digital resources easy for teachers. The Inspiration tab leads to a collection of stories and ideas designed to inspire teaching, learning, and leading in your classroom. The Professional Learning Resources page houses a wide array of resources developed specifically to enhance teacher capacity. These resources also focus on STEM, health and well-being, and leadership, as well as PNG and Australia education policy. At the bottom, you can submit suggestions for things you'd like to see added to the Learning Bank. Under the Partnerships tab, you'll find our journey and the timeline for all PAS activities to date. There's a lot, and it continues to grow.
Thanks very much, Nicole, and a special shout out to Mehdi Retta, who did the voiceover and took us on a tour of the PAS website. I know that you can see that there's so much there, all of the work that we've been done. It's a brilliant resource for everybody to regularly be taking a look at. Okay, so thank you for coming today. Thank you to our Term 3 learning designers and the team at Australia Awards PNG and AEF. If you've got any questions today from anything that you've heard, please message us via the PNG Oz WhatsApp group that's open to all PNG and Australian participants. So, Tenke you true, everyone, and see you soon. Okay, goodbye.